Story 1. It sounds like it would be more delicious than hilarious, especially if the chef makes them fully authentic. Story 2. The street in front of the White House is heavily restricted, and unauthorized vehicles are not allowed. The closest you can get is next to the ellipse. Washington, D.C. has a group of unlicensed food trucks that make life difficult for everyone and overcharge tourists. While some may sell tacos, they are largely disliked by locals and are not the type of vendors who should be encouraged. Story 3. Realistically, it would be a big public relations win for him. He has been feeding off people hating and mocking him for 2 terms now. He goes to his followers and says they tried to make a joke out of him with their taco festival. But the joke is on them. I love tacos. Nobody loves a good taco better than me. I got so many free tacos for me and my staff. It was a great day for us all, especially our legal Latin American employees. I am very popular with them. Anyway, you see where this is going. Story 4. It would not. Not everyone is a Reddit meme enthusiast. It would get a chuckle from a few people. Others would just enjoy tacos. Story 5. The street in front of the White House is heavily restricted, and unauthorized vehicles are not allowed to drive on it. Story 6. We would probably plan it and then back out. Then plan it again and back out once more. We would plan it again but lose our permit, only to receive a reprieve from the city council. So it would be back on, but then we would probably back out again. Story 7. When I lived in Houston, people would hire mariachi bands to play on the sidewalk in front of Senator Ted Cruz's house. It was hilarious. Story 8. That is basically already happening. Constitution Avenue is filled with food trucks, mostly ice cream, but there are taco trucks as well. Story 9. Almost as hilarious as a Rock against Trump showdown down the street from his Poor Dictator parade with Bruce Springsteen headlining. Story 10. We were threatened with taco trucks on every corner. Do not threaten me with a good time. Let us make it happen. Story 11. Remember 1990 when we dumped 10 tons of broccoli on the White House lawn because George Bush said he hated it? His own mother could not get him to eat it, and he said, I am President of the United States, so I do not have to eat broccoli. Story 12. Honestly, that would be incredible. Imagine politicians trying to hold serious press conferences while the smell of carne asada fills the air and someone is yelling, extra guacamole is $1 more in the background. I would watch congressional satellite program for once. Story 13. Only shredded chicken tacos, call it Taco Tuesdays. Name all the menu item tariffs that have been chickened out on. Story 14. Hilarious? I think you meant delicious. Or in front of my house. That would be nice. If I win the lottery, I would love for someone to do all the permitting and arrangements to create a food truck festival in front of my house. I would pay them to show up, and then just walk out my front door and enjoy the smells for a while. What were we talking about? Story 15. It is obvious you are asking because you think the president dislikes those of Hispanic descent, Hispanic culture, and Mexican food in general. None of those are true, and it would be a delicious outing. Story 16. Just have to be sure it is white people working the taco truck. Anyone else would be arrested or deported. Story 17. I swear I would take a road trip to Washington, D.C. to attend a taco truck festival in front of the White House. That would be one of the funniest pranks ever, especially because the current leader is so sensitive. Story 18. Well, I was searching for taco truck Donald Trump, and this is where I find myself. You stole my thoughts. But yeah, that would be similar to the giant orange petulant baby Donald Trump balloon across the globe. Seriously, make America great again. Anyone here make America great again? Yeah, nobody likes your guy. If that's the case, nobody likes you. Whenever I see Donald Trump's giant cheeseburger eating face, I always think that his mouth looks better that way. If his mouth is full of greasy cheeseburgers, then it's harder for him to spread more propaganda. Honestly though, we need a meme replacing taco with cheeseburgers. His entire body looks like a cheeseburger. Story 19. I would like to see Taylor Swift and Bruce Springsteen give a free concert on the day of Taco Head's parade. Story 20. Come on, Lefty. Get your group together and at least act appropriately, or the United States Agency for International Development up to the White House with your taco truck. You will get your 15 minutes of fame for sure. See you. Story 21. Would love to see a full Mexican festival with taco trucks and elderly Mexican women selling homemade churros, like in the New York City subways. Story 22. Taco stands all along the big, beautiful parade route. Tacos, Mexican food businesses, offer many special deals during parade day. The taco float. Story 23. Honestly, the American Comics Organization and its followers have made it very clear that they are easily hurt by others bullying them. I believe there should be an international trend of putting photos of him in urinals. Story 24. Make it happen. Taco truck owners, make sure you have an absolutely spotless record. File for the correct permits and show up. This is how you defeat Donald Trump, by challenging his ego. He cannot handle it. Story 25. They would use it to stage a violent immigration and customs enforcement showdown and use that as a pretext for martial law. That is the Project 2025 endgame. Story 26. 10 out of 10 would watch on cable satellite public affairs network. Secret Service trying to secure the perimeter while someone yells, "Bro, the burrito tacos are life-changing." Story 27. They would all get arrested, and knowing Donald Trump, they would probably be detained by immigration and customs enforcement for a long time, then maybe even deported, legal or not. So the hilarity would be short-lived in my opinion. Story 28. There is basically one every day in Washington, District of Columbia, with all the food trucks around. Also, you cannot really park anywhere that would be in front of the White House. Story 29. I say with complete sincerity that I would not be very surprised if Donald Trump held a taco truck festival on the White House lawn to appeal to voters. I love Hispanic people. Story 30. Just as long as you invite Goya beans to join the party. If they do not come, you print out a huge billboard of Donald Trump endorsing Goya beans at the White House and place a big taco on it. Story 31. I do not see why anyone would be upset about that. I see this as an absolute win, and I would love to know when the festival is. Story 32. In his military birthday parade, honking, swerving in and out, and playing bawdy music aimed at them. Story 33. This taco truck. Story 34. That would be absolutely perfect, maybe even give him a heart attack or a brain attack. We could be so lucky. Story 35. Not that hilarious? There are many food and souvenir trucks in and around the area already. It is a common sight. I have seen them on the mall on the street next to the Washington Monument with a clear view of the Capitol behind them, a ways away, granted, but still an unobstructed view. Everything in Washington, District of Columbia, needs to have a permit to be where it is. Story 36. Nothing exemplifies a functioning democracy like senators debating immigration policy while enjoying carne asada. Story 37. It would be hilarious watching the people with the trucks getting rousted out and sent on their way with tickets in hand. Have you ever heard of the Murrah building bombing? Do you think the United States Secret Service or the District of Columbia Police would let trucks sit idle that close to the White House? You have to be less informed than most leftists. Story 38. I don't understand why people are piling onto this so much. Why challenge him to stop avoiding responsibility? Do people want the tariffs now for some reason? Story 39. It would start as a peaceful celebration and end with half the crowd sprinting to the nearest bathroom. Absolute chaos. Story 40. It is not too far off if you have ever visited food trucks lining the streets around the Capitol buildings. Story 41. I would prefer to see a Love Thy Neighbor festival in a prominent area of Washington, D.C. Canadian vendors would be on the north side of the National Mall, Mexican vendors on the south side, and a celebration in the center. They cannot say it is wrong because it is in the Bible. Story 42. Ha! I recognize the thing. I know what you are talking about, and it is for sure a humor. Hats off to you, fellow intellect. It would be totally hilarious. Ha! Politics. Ha ha. Story 43. Those unfortunate individuals would all be on the next flight to El Salvador. By deporting every Hispanic person he can find, this individual is now endangering our critical national taco truck reserves. Story 44. During his first term, when he made one of his snide remarks about Mexicans, many taco trucks set up outside his hotel in Las Vegas. I used to work nearby, and this was an amazing lunchtime surprise. Story 45. Nothing represents democracy like 40 taco trucks and one person yelling, "This is not even real carne asada," on federal property. Story 46. Not to be dramatic, but Democrats thinking things like this are some kind of gotcha is the reason we are in this mess. Story 47. Honestly, it would be legendary. The United States Secret Service trying to maintain a perimeter while someone argues about $3 extra for guacamole. Politicians sneaking out mid-briefing with a plate of al pastor. President Joe Biden holding a chuo like it is a national treasure. 10 out of 10 would livestream. Story 48. Interestingly, there were 2 blocks away where the drivers were being interrogated by the Federal Bureau of Investigation Police, which I didn't think was a thing. I'm in town and they are all over. I saw tickets being written and threats of deportation. One of the police officers was black, and that really upset me that he was participating in the racism. Several people were recording, so it might be on social media somewhere by now. Or maybe not, because this does not compare to the evils this administration has perpetuated. But yeah, probably not hilarious. Probably good people getting their livelihoods taken away. Story 49. The nickname, the culture, the brown people. He is going to lose control, literally and figuratively. Story 50. You cannot, because the first thing the frightened person elected as president did was put up high walls around the White House. Story 51. Trump would have a Trump Tower truck offering taco bowls. I am not sure why anyone here thinks it is a negative for Trump. He is more popular than ever with Hispanic people. Story 52. I love that the implied premise of this post is that American citizens are somehow incapable of placing meat inside a tortilla and putting cheese on it. Story 53. I wish I could go to the demonstration to disrupt the first felon's military parade. I hope thousands wear a Taco Don t-shirt. Story 54. I think we need to give him that birthday parade. Taco trucks, a taco float, that Donnie diaper float, and a few others. We could have all of the wonderful qualities of our favorite president. Story 55. Some people are easily entertained. I remember when my brother's children were small, hearing the word flatulence would send them into fits of laughter. So here is some entertainment. Flatulence, flatulence, flatulence. Story 56. Considering they do not care about due process, I would be terrified for anyone brown who was there. If they are fully blocked from trafficking, then it would be hilarious and I would be on the first bus to Washington, D.C. Story 57. They would either be horrible tacos because no Mexican people show up, or horrible tacos because the Mexican people get deported. Story 58. Or Del Taco, Taco John's, and Taco Bell come up with their own versions. Taco Bell already has the Dorito taco. Story 59. In 2016, Donald Trump warned people that there would be taco trucks on every corner if Hillary Clinton won the election. Shame on him for threatening me with a good time. Story 60. Listen, I was promised that if Hillary Clinton was elected, we would have a taco truck on every corner. I feel this is our chance to correct some mistakes. Story 61. Not funny. The last thing you want to do to a narcissist is tell them they cannot do something. They will go out of their way using scorched earth tactics to prove that they can. Let the judges and lawsuits handle this because it takes time to unwind their mess. They can unleash fury that will cause us immediate harm and take time to undo. Story 62. It would be hilarious when he went out to them and they all cheered. Or did you forget that Mexican Americans mostly voted for Donald Trump? Story 63. This is just an aside, but my wife is always amazed at how I tend to share too much information at the border when we cross. We now have our Nexus cards, but we won't be using them for a few more years, probably not until 2030. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, I was in Vancouver, British Columbia, for work. I typically arrived a day early to enjoy the city, but this time I stumbled upon a taco food truck festival in Seattle and decided to rent a car to check it out. When I got to the border and the agent asked where I was headed, I told him I was going to a taco festival in Seattle. He stared at me for what felt like 30 seconds, studying me, before saying, "Excuse me." I repeated that I was going to a taco festival. He then asked, "Where exactly is this festival?" and I gave him the details. He paused again, laughed out loud, handed me back my passport and said, "Maybe I'll see you there." This whole Orange Man taco story brings that memory to mind. Story 64. It would be funnier if he visits a country and the main course is tacos and carrot tortillas with a side of grilled mushrooms. Story 65. There are already many food trucks in Washington, D.C. Placing them as close to the White House as possible would not be too difficult. Story 66. People would get arrested and deported with no reason given. Donald Trump would ramble talking about preventing a storm of the Capitol unlike anything seen in the past. Make America Great Again supporters would applaud. United States citizens with more than one brain cell would ignore him. Story 67. That is really racist. Assuming that they all eat the same food. You would need to have an arepa truck to represent the Venezuelans. If you are going to try to troll, at least get the primary street food right. Shaking my head. Story 68. Depending on who is cooking and operating taco trucks, and how many cockroaches and illegally stolen appliances are being used to prepare food that has probably been left out at room temperature. I imagine it would be as absurd as being charged a 25% tariff for transporting counterfeit Jordan shoes and bootleg stolen electronics across the Gulf of Mexico into the United States. Story 69. I do not really understand the taco situation. The insult is that Donald Trump always chickens out of his tariff plans. Are people trying to provoke him into declaring even more severe tariffs by making fun of him for backing down on them? Story 70. Eventually, it is going to happen, and there will be a very long line of taco trucks. It would be even better if they all had a Make America Great Again hat on the trucks. Story 71. Trump. That's it. I'm banning taco trucks. No, wait. No, I'm not. Wait, yes, I am. Hey, maybe someone should give me a taco truck. Hey, Make America Great Again. Do you want to buy a gold taco truck for $1 million? Story 72. President Taco J. Yam Tits would not like it, so we need all the taco trucks we can find to park outside there. Story 73. The only thing I do not like about the technology and automation company becoming a thing is that his ego is more likely to force him to dig in his heels on these poor decisions going forward, where they will have even more severe consequences than we have had so far. It is fun to see him squirm, though. Story 74. I remember being promised a taco truck on every corner, and I am very disappointed. Let us make it happen. Story 75. Trump would love it. Story 76. About as funny as a drug bust in front of the White House during the George Herbert Walker Bush administration. Oh wait, that actually happened. Story 77. You people need help. What is wrong with a taco truck? Are you all so racist that the taco is considered racist? His Secretary of State is Cuban. Trump is living rent-free in your heads. Story 78. Look man, I'm so scared, guys. Please no. Tuesday is a bad day for me. There is no time like the present. Matter of fact, I'll cater for the event now. All the talk and threats are just words. I need action. Who really cares? Tacos are talking spicy, but I only have mild sauce on hand. Do what you gotta do, my brother. Regardless, I still have love for Selena. Anything for Selena. Sorry for loving you. Story 79. We don't have to be like this. We can figure out a solution and then go back to our lives. I have said nothing to anybody and told you that we can figure something out. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.